Okay, I said, and I meant it like a vow. We start there. Styling him didn't start with a dress or makeup or anything dramatic. It started with me asking, "What do you like?" and then actually listening when he answered. He liked clean lines. He liked dark colors. He liked softness against his skin. He liked the way a blazer made him feel put together, the way a sweater could feel like being held. He didn't want to be girly in a way that felt forced. He wanted to feel elegant, intentional, like he was stepping into himself rather than away from himself. So we built from what he already knew. I brought over a few pieces from my closet, things that weren't aggressively feminine, things that lived in that delicious middle space. A black turtleneck that hugged without clinging, a long charcoal cardigan, a pair of slim black pants that could pass for anyone's. I found a belt with a simple silver buckle and showed him how to wear it higher on his waist, not to fake curves, but to shift the silhouette slightly, to experiment with shape as art rather than deception. Ethan watched with wide, careful eyes, like he was afraid of wanting too much. When he stepped into the bedroom to change, he closed the door out of instinct. Then he opened it again a crack and said, "Can you stay?" My throat tightened. "Of course," I said. "Do you want me in there?" He hesitated, then nodded, cheeks red. "Just don't look at me like I'm a joke." "I won't," I promised, and I stepped into the room. He changed with his back turned at first, movements awkward, not because he didn't know how to put on clothes, but because vulnerability makes every motion feel louder. When he finally turned around in the turtleneck and the cardigan, his eyes flicked to mine, bracing. I smiled. Not big, not performative, just warm. "Hi," I said, because it felt like meeting someone. Ethan's shoulders dropped a fraction. "Hi," he echoed, voice small. I adjusted the cardigan on his shoulders, smoothing it the way you'd smooth a lapel on someone you cared about. "How do you feel?" I asked. He closed his eyes, as if checking inside himself. "Like, my skin is quieter," he whispered. I nodded, understanding in my bones. "Good," I said. "That's the point." Then came the shoes. We didn't go straight to the pumps. That felt like jumping into the deep end. Instead, we started with the silver flats. Simple, forgiving. Ethan sat on the edge of the bed, hands fisted in the blanket, and watched as I set the flats on the floor in front of him. "You don't have to," I reminded him. "I want to," he said, and his voice shook with the effort of saying so. He slid his feet into them slowly. They fit perfectly like they'd been waiting. He stood, tentative, and took a step, then another. The flats made almost no sound on the carpet. His posture shifted, subtle, but there, as if his body recognized a new kind of permission. His eyes filled. He blinked fast. "This is stupid," he said, voice cracking. "It's not," I said firmly, and I stepped closer. "It's brave." He laughed again, a real laugh this time, and wiped at his eyes with the back of his hand like he was angry at them for leaking. "Okay," I said, playful now because the air needed lightness. "Turn." He rolled his eyes but complied, doing a small, awkward spin that made me laugh. He looked at me like he was waiting for me to stop laughing and start judging. When I didn't, his mouth softened into the smallest smile. "That," I said, pointing at the smile, "is the look we're styling for." He exhaled. "You're insane," he said, but there was affection in it. "Correct," I replied. "Now, next step." Over the next few weeks, our world rearranged itself around small, careful moments. Ethan bought a full-length mirror and leaned it against the bedroom wall like he was inviting himself to be seen. We moved the shoeboxes out from under the bed and into the closet, not displayed yet, not proudly, but not hidden in dust and darkness either. Ethan started letting me help him practice walking in low heels, his hands hovering out at his sides like he was balancing on a ship. I taught him the trick I'd learned from years of events: smaller steps, weight on the balls of your feet, shoulders back not like a soldier but like you're allowed to take up air. One night, after he'd managed 3 steady laps around the room in the black pumps, he sat down hard on the bed and said, "I really thought you'd leave." I sat beside him, took his hand. "I know," I said. "Tell me what you were afraid of." He stared at our joined hands. "That you'd think I was lying," he whispered. "That I'd tricked you into loving someone you didn't sign up for. That you'd look at me and see something pathetic." My chest ached. "You didn't trick me," I said. "You protected yourself, and I get it, but I don't want you to have to do that with me." Ethan swallowed. "What if I want more?" he asked, voice tight. "What if it changes? What if I don't know where it stops?" The question carried so much: gender, identity, fear of losing his own name. I kept my voice gentle and steady. "Then we talk," I said. "We don't sprint. We don't shove it under the bed. We take it one honest step at a time. You're allowed to explore. I'm allowed to have feelings, and we can do it together." His eyes lifted to mine, searching. "You really mean that?" "Yes," I said. "But it has to be real. No more secrecy as a coping strategy. No more letting your fear write the story alone." He nodded slowly. "Okay," he said, and this time it sounded less like practice and more like trust. The night he finally asked, "Can we go somewhere?" It was raining, not hard, just enough to make the streetlights look smeared, to make the world feel softer. Ethan stood in his bedroom wearing the outfit we'd built together: black slim pants, the turtleneck, a long dark coat that made him look like a stylish person you'd notice in a crowd without understanding why. On his feet were the red ankle boots, their heels small but confident. His hair was the same, his face the same, but his posture was different, taller, quieter, like his body wasn't fighting itself. "Somewhere." "Where?" I asked, keeping my tone casual so he wouldn't bolt. He swallowed. "Just outside," he said. "Like to the corner and back. I want to know what it feels like." My heart thudded. "Okay," I said. "We can do that." We planned it like a tiny mission: phone charged, keys in pocket, umbrella by the door. I asked, "Do you want me to lead or follow?" Because I wanted him to have control. "Walk with me," he said, and his voice was almost a plea. So we walked out into the rain together. The first few steps down the hallway of his apartment building were the hardest. Ethan's breath was shallow, shoulders tight. He kept glancing at the elevator doors like they were a trap. I touched his elbow lightly. "Breathe," I murmured. "You're allowed." He took a deeper breath, and we kept going. Outside, the air was cool and damp, smelling like wet asphalt and leaves. The rain tapped the umbrella in a steady rhythm. Ethan's boots made a soft, deliberate sound on the sidewalk. We passed a couple walking a dog. The dog looked at us with interest, then sneezed. The couple barely glanced up. Ethan's eyes widened. He leaned slightly closer to me. "No one cares," he whispered, astonished. "Most people are thinking about themselves," I whispered back. "Welcome to the best news." We reached the corner. A traffic light blinked red, then green. Ethan stood under the streetlight, rain-damp air curling around us, and for a moment he looked like someone in a film, a person paused on the edge of a new life. "Okay," he breathed, and his voice shook. "Okay." Then he laughed, soft, stunned, and the sound made something in my chest bloom. I realized I was watching him become freer in inches, not miles, and I realized I loved him not in spite of this, but with it included. Love, I thought, isn't proven by how well you hide. It's proven by what you're allowed to reveal. Back inside, Ethan kicked off the boots and sat on the floor like his legs had forgotten how to hold him. He looked up at me with an expression I couldn't quite name. Relief, grief, gratitude, disbelief. "I feel like I've been holding my breath for years," he said. I crouched in front of him. "Then let's stop," I replied. "Let's make this a house where you can breathe." Later, when we crawled into bed, I noticed something small that made me smile. The black pump, the one that had started all of this, was no longer under the bed. Ethan had placed it neatly on top of its shoebox on the closet shelf, lid open like a book left mid-page. Not hidden, not shoved away. Just there. I slid my hand under the bed out of habit and touched nothing but dust and the cool underside of the frame. The space felt emptier, lighter, like a room that had been cleared for something new. Ethan turned toward me, eyes half-lidded with exhaustion and something like peace. "Thank you," he whispered. I shook my head, brushing my thumb across his cheek. "No," I said softly. "Thank you for letting me know you." He swallowed, then asked the question that mattered most. "Are you okay?" he said. "With all of it?" I took a breath and told the truth, the way we were learning to do. "I'm okay," I said, "and I'm scared sometimes because change is scary, but I'd rather be scared in the light with you than calm in the dark alone." Ethan's eyes shone. He nodded once, and the nod felt like a promise. In the quiet after, I thought about how easily love can become a place where we store our secrets, stacking them in perfect rows, hoping neatness will keep them contained. But secrets don't stay contained. They leak into the space between two people. They turn intimacy into a guessing game. What we'd done, what Ethan had done, was take the shoes out from under the bed and let them become what they'd always been. Proof of a self that deserved room, not proof of betrayal, proof of longing, proof of courage. And somehow, in the simplest way, in the most ordinary bedroom with its navy-striped bedspread and its ceiling fan hum, we had rewritten the twist I didn't know I was waiting for. I hadn't reached under his bed and found an ending. I'd reached under his bed and found a beginning, one heel, one honest breath, one careful step at a time.